Our guest today is Jim Parkman. This was a huge case. I mean, this was the fourth largest accounting fraud in the history of the United States.
The CEO of HealthSouth, the Fortune 500 healthcare company.
Ferrari Enzo was nearly obliterated in the high-speed crash along the PCH.
Zenvo, ST1, 50S.
He went from being on the Real Housewives of New Jersey.
Only made 3 for the United States.
Parkman Khan, former exotic car dealer turned #1 FBI's most wanted fugitive.
Generally, when you look at the law, 90% of the time it's against you.
The FBI put a $20,000 reward for information into his arrest.
Parkman Khan scammed super rich customers at a New Jersey car dealership.
Join myself and James Parkman, my attorney and best friend, as we have cars, courts, and conversations.
So last time we spoke, and that's one of the things I want to touch on. Last time we spoke about P. Diddy, right?
Oh boy, have I got? But wait, I'm not backing away. I'm not backing away from
I'm not
backing away.
Not at all. And here's what I said. Okay.
Okay.
I went online and I've never gone online and bashed anybody publicly, and because what I do is being gone through things and having to deal with things personally. I understand how life works. I understand the situation. I understand the process, right? And I'm seeing people that you're a smart, educated person. You have money, you have this. And then I see people, obviously, that have no concept of reality. And overnight, this man goes from being loved and cherished to all these people just bashing him online. And people are saying, well, they found 1,000 bottles of lube, so he has to be guilty. Well, here, I'm looking at the merits of the case. Finding 1,000 bottles of lube is not being guilty. What if he has a lube collection? People have 1,000 cars. He likes to moisturize.
That is not in and of itself a indicator to me of guilt right now. Now, the reason I say that is of course I made the prediction at the time that I thought that he should be released. I still stand by that. Now I still stand by that. Now
I agree too.
There were some things that I did not know that were brought out the next day. The prosecution comes back and says, well, he's been trying to contact some of the victims.
Yep.
Now the question that I don't know the answer to, and nor does anybody in America at this moment, is what was the purpose of contacting them? Was it the purpose of you better keep your mouth shut, or was it the purpose of what is going on? What did you talk to them? What did you tell them that was so bad? I mean, that kind of thing. So that's what I don't know the answer to. And of course, when you start talking about reaching out to victims of a crime, things change with regards to how the sentiment goes about release versus non-release. And so,
true that. Okay, so I totally agree. Like, you shouldn't be contacting witnesses. So, for example, during my case, right? There was an order that I could not reach out to people that had charged me, so I didn't. I had no contact with them.
Now remember, wait a minute. Remember, he wasn't under any order at that time.
True that. Yeah, exactly. He wasn't even charged.
That's different. You're talking about after you were charged, they're saying don't contact the victim. They do that now. So my thing is this was not under any order to do.
No, he was a free man at that time.
So what was the real purpose? Was it the purpose of threatening them, or was it the purpose of finding out what's going on?
Exactly.
I've heard these rumors. What's happening?
Of course, he was having a general conversation. So here's my idea, my thoughts right now. So people online are bashing him. I'm like, listen, you can't bash this guy. You don't know the merits of the case here. You don't know the details. All you know is whatever the prosecutors threw out there. And what they do is they like to throw all kinds of stuff against the wall and make it look like a great painting. Like, look at this. We got this. We got lube. We got guns. We got this. And then he was trying to intimidate them. But there's probably going to be a lot of stuff that's going to come out. Like, a lot of these witnesses, when it comes down to it, probably won't show up to the stand, or they're going to recant, or it's going to be like, okay, yes, they have one person because they're trying to, maybe they got a personal vendetta against him. Because Diddy was a very shrewd businessman. He cut people off. He made sure that a lot of people didn't get paid, or he didn't give them a contract. So there's a lot of people that are envious of him, a lot of people that are jealous or angry at him. So they might come out and say something. Maybe Diddy didn't give him a contract that they wanted, and now they feel, okay, you know what, this is my chance.
Well,
to get my
well,
revenge.
let me throw something else in.
Yep.
You know, if I find out, and I'm not saying this is happening, I'm just saying, and I'll show you a resemblance here in a minute with another matter. But, you know, when I find out that he can post a $50 million bond, you know, I may want to look into a lawsuit on that and get some of that money. You know,
he got 4 lawsuits in a week.
Now, I'm not saying I'm just saying, okay? Now, the reason we know this is, let's take Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
Now, bunch of girls came out and sued him, and they settled. And then all of a sudden, and this bothered me, all of a sudden, after everything's been done, the league has punished him.
Yep.
Okay? He settled all the cases except 2 or 3. Then out of nowhere, another suit comes.
Of course. Yep.
Okay. Now,
well,
I'm like, now wait a minute. Come on now. Why, why? Come on now. Don't, if you're going to get in. Do it then. Do it while it's there. Don't.
Well, it's all of a sudden people wait and they're like, oh, he did it or she did it, so let me do it too. Like this, in 1 week alone, 4 lawsuits have been filed against Diddy, right? All these people are coming out to speak, and I'm like, where were you 20 years ago? If you say this happened in 2005, why didn't you say something in 2005? Why didn't you say something in 2014? But yet you kept your mouth shut. You kept doing this, and now all of a sudden you think that, okay, and a lot of people think that because the guy's caged up, that he can't sit there and he can't be able to clear his name. Well, guess what? When you say something, remember this: you're gonna have to face the person one day in court, and remember my trial, okay?
Yeah. That
woman came and said a bunch of stuff about me.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And she gave a 298-page statement. And when you went in court, she cried on the stand 2 days with the prosecutors. And she looked like the victim. I mean, if you didn't know any better, I felt bad for her the way she was crying, right? And then all of a sudden, the day you start, she turns on you, and the first thing she said to you, she goes, Mr. Khan pays people to lie for him. And the judge reprimanded her. And then you went through and you went say, well, this is this, and this is this. And all of a sudden, she just looked like the biggest liar. And I remember Martin Adams poke me. Martin Adams, if you don't know, was another attorney that was with Jimmy. And he was sitting next to me. And all of a sudden, he said, look at the jury's reaction. And all of a sudden, when the moment you hit her with 3 lies that she was caught in, the jury just looked at me, and the one woman smiled at me. And at that point, we knew it was over for her.
Yeah.
Because it was lie after lie, but she thought she can make these lies, she can say what she had to say, and it'll never come out. And that's what's going to happen here. There's a lot of people that made claims, and if Diddy actually goes to trial, a lot of these people are going to come out looking like liars and opportunistic people. That's my opinion.
And that may be. I'm not here. I don't know. The problem with us in judging not judging, but saying what we think may happen, we don't know all the evidence. That's the problem.
We don't know.
You don't. And let me tell you, I've learned this. News, I've learned this through experience. News people don't want a rendition of all day what the testimony is.
No, they just want cliff notes.
They want 5 seconds.
That's it.
Give me 5 seconds.
They want clickbait.
That's it. Have a nice day. But you don't hear everything in court. You don't get the feeling that you get. That's why we have court. You get that feeling inside you of how this is going and how it's working and the interaction with the people and the witnesses. And you don't get the feeling that you get. That's why we have court. You get that feeling inside you of how this is going and how it's working and the interaction with the people and the witnesses. And you don't get that. And the news gives it to you real, bam, bam, and you're through and have a nice day. And, and they can put it the way they want to put it. They can take the good or the bad or the ugly, and they can make it whatever they want to make it that day.
Absolutely. It's clickbait, whatever they're going to say.
But you have to sit there. And so a lot of people go, well, how did OJ get off? Well, you were there every day.
No, you weren't.
If you were there every day, maybe you know.
That was an 11-month trial. That was a long trial. I mean,
You didn't get everything that went on. And,
Nope. I mean, I actually watched it. I was a kid, and I was enamored by it because I liked the legal system, and I sat and watched every day of that trial. And when I was at school, I ran home and turned it on whatever I could to catch up. And and actually they did a show on that thing, and they actually got it just right. They did everything that they did in court. It was amazing that they actually did that. The only thing that screwed up was they got Robert Shapiro's car wrong. That was it.
I couldn't keep up. I mean, I was working during the day, and when I get through at night, I'm ready to go. I don't want to see any more law. I've had enough law.
No, I know.
But I would catch bits and pieces of, a little bit here, a little bit there, and the news influences you too about sometimes what's going on, and
it's human nature. People get influenced.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you your opinion, okay? As an attorney, okay, you're an attorney.
Right.
Now, he's had a bail hearing, and then he had his appeal for the bail hearing.
Yeah.
What do you like? If you were representing Diddy, what are you doing? Right now?
What now?
What would you be doing right now if you were representing Diddy and Diddy's sitting inside right now, and they turned down a $50 million offer?
Well, what I would be doing is this. You're not going to go back right now. You got to have something new to go back on if you're going to go for an appeal. Okay, you got to have something new. You can't just go back and say, give it to me because, okay. So that's not going to work. So the first thing to do is find out who all is going to be involved in this.
Yep.
Okay. Get the discovery. Start looking through it. Start trying to figure out the contradictions between people.
Yep.
Start talking to witnesses that were there that maybe go, wait a minute, that's not how this happened. Start getting the contradictions down. Start finding the problems that exist. Okay. And then with that, if you can produce enough, of problems that exist that maybe the government hadn't picked up on or didn't get, maybe you can go back at that time and try it again.
Yeah.
But you just can't go back without something. You got to have some ammunition.
I mean, it's going to be a couple of weeks at least before he can go back.
Oh yeah. A lot of clients go, well, let's just ask again. Let's just add, no, that's not going to. They've already denied it. You appealed it. The judge is smiling because he was right.
Yep.
So it's not going to happen. We got to come up with something.
Yep.
That's going to change things. Now that could even be, I'm guessing, okay, but let's just say one of the victims all of a sudden comes forward and says, wait a minute. I was put up to say this. I didn't do it. Well, now you got some ammunition. Now you got something to deal with that maybe would show that maybe he is entitled to a bail and not wait until the trial.
Well,
there are a lot of charges. It's going to take a while.
With me, remember, it took 5 months of us going back and forth to court before the judge finally agreed to the $1 million bail. And then at that point, obviously, but it took me 5 months sitting in, jail. So
to
it's
get
not
there.
easy. And now his case is completely, this is big time because now the one thing I'm going to say on the other part, okay, on the flip side, if the man wanted to flee, and I'm speaking as a fugitive that I was at one point, right? I fled before I knew the feds were going to come after me. And I knew after that one judge asked me for a bribe, I knew that my time was up and I had to leave. And I left, right? So knowing how that was, this man knew months ago, he knew in March that there was charges coming because when the feds knock at your door and they raid your homes, it's a matter of time before they're going to come knocking to arrest you, right?
That's right.
He was a free man. At that point, he had traveled across, he'd left the country on his private jet. He had done this. If he was planning on escaping, he had a lot more resources than I did when he could have left. He could have packed up on his private jet, flew to Dubai, already had millions of dollars transferred, and they would have never touched him. They couldn't touch him. He's in a non-extradition country or wherever he would have went.
Yeah.
But he didn't flee. He stood around and he waited, and then he flew to New York because he knew he was being arrested. And now he's willing to put up $50 million. He's willing to sell his jet. He's making an effort. The other problem I have is that you and I both know that if this guy stays in jail, there's no way he can mount a proper defense because being in jail, I can tell you, it is impossible to go through discovery in jail because A, you have no place to store it. So now where are you going to look at this hard drive that they're going to give you, or actual, like, say, hard copy documents? So your lawyer comes in here and say he has a 2-hour visit with you. You're going through stuff, but now you needed to study. You needed to be able to go through it. You know, like when my second case happened and I was released on bail, I would sit for 8 to 10 hours a day going through discovery, and actually not even discovery. I would go through my files, because what happened is, remember, I had sent all my files to you in Alabama and you held on to it. So the feds never got those documents. So I was able to go piece by piece and say to my lawyer, hey, look at this. They said this, but look at the proof here. But you couldn't do that from a jail cell. And that's important.
Oh, yeah, and it's equally important, I think, that, if you're in jail, if you're in custody previous to a trial, it wears you down.
Absolutely.
And you get to where you just go, look,
because
make it light on me. I got this time in. Let me get the heck out of here.
Because here's the thing, and a lot of people don't understand. Jail is miserable, okay? And a lot of people are like, just get me out of jail and get me to prison, because they wear you down. I mean, right now where Diddy's at, he's, in MDC. It is one of the worst facilities in the country. It is one of the worst jails in America. The food is horrible. The living spaces are horrible. This Diddy comes from a place that he's got butlers and he's got mansions and stuff, and now he's sleeping on a mattress that's this thin, with no pillow, with no window. It's sealed shut, it's fogged off, and he's getting maybe 6 chicken nuggets for lunch today, and maybe corn and stuff like that. And you're like, what do I do? And there's nothing to do for you. You have no one. You can't even talk to your families because you're allowed X amount of minutes that you could talk on the phone. Your food is horrible, and all you think about the whole time is, when am I going to get out of here? And when you live with that, it is mental torture. So a lot of people I witnessed would just go to their lawyers and say, what do I have to do just to get to prison? Because obviously when they get to prison, they can actually start living a normal life. Not a normal life, but they can do more. They can leave their cell. They can walk around.
You can get out. And I had an experience early in my life. There was a county, people don't realize it, but the feds rent out jail at a city or a county jail. They rent out space, and they pay them to house them previous to a conviction or a plea, okay?
Correct.
To sentencing. So I had a county jail here. No, it was a city jail, and the food was unbelievable. Yeah. It was so good.
It always is.
Oh, it's so good. And in fact, I would go see, if I had a client in the jail.
It was good?
It was good.
Oh my God.
Well, and I'll get to the story. Yeah, let me tell you. The warden and everything. I mean, he even had a dessert cart. And they would go around after you ate your regular meal, they would give them heavy stuff, fried chicken, mashed potato. Load of them. They'd pass the dessert cart around. They'd come back around again. And I used to go up there. It was so good, I'd go eat on Fridays.
I've never heard that in my life.
Yeah, I'd get a plate and eat. Now, I asked him one day, I said, Warden, this food is unbelievable. And he goes, you're right. He said, Jim, we load them up. That way they get in their bunk and sleep.
Smart man. Yep.
A smart man.
Yep.
He said, we don't have any complaints. He said, everybody we have gains weight.
Yeah, well, that is one of the things. When I went to prison,
the smartest thing I ever heard was that guy.
Exactly. Well, that's the problem. Most jails don't give you enough food. And like when I went to prison, I lost 50 pounds.
Yeah.
Because there's no lack of food. You don't get enough food, and you don't want to eat the junk.
Yeah. He said if our inmates here, if they don't gain 20, 30, 40 pounds, something's wrong.
Yeah,
we're here. We're gonna bring the dessert cart back by, and get the cake. We want you to eat cake, all you need.
I've never heard that about any jail in my life, but okay, there you go.
That was a real story, and the guy was a genius, and that's the only place I've ever been in that after lunch, it was as quiet and peaceful, and everybody happy.
So, so back to Diddy's situation.
Yeah.
he's got it tough in there. He's not an easy place where he's at. And yes, I mean, you know what? I mean, listen, at the end of the day, he's Diddy. So a lot of the guards are going to be nicer to him than they would be anybody else. And then a lot of guards, just to be, make a point, are going to make an example out of him. So he's got it tough in there because he can't trust anybody. That's the first thing.
No, that's the first thing.
Everyone in there is obviously pre-trial, and they're looking to, get time off their sentences or whatever. So if he says anything, they're going to run to the government and say, hey, guess what? I got information about Diddy. Diddy said this. Diddy said that.
Oh, yeah.
He can't trust anybody. He cannot trust the phones. He cannot trust the guards. He is a lone ranger in there.
Do you know how many times, we preach this? Don't get on the phone and talk about your case. Talk about your loved ones, what they're doing, the children. Okay. Do you know how many times, I would say at least 50% of the time,
people talk about their case.
They get on there and talking about their case or talk about something. And there's a little sign that's right in front of every phone that I've ever seen.
It's recorded.
This phone call is being recorded. Okay.
But besides the call being recorded, everything that you do in jail, you have to understand. When you're in jail, just imagine that it's like the Truman Show. There's a camera on you. There's people that are watching you. People are going to come sit up next to you. And they're like, I remember I used to walk in there. I sit down. Got nothing to say. I talk about cars. I talk about what's on TV. I talk about everything. And but I live my life this way. So, obviously, you know this. When all this happened with me, right? And I saw all these people go on American Greed, and they went on to CNN, and they went here, and they went this. But when it came out, nobody knew Bobby Khan because I've lived my life that way. I'm going to let people that I don't know, strangers, know exactly what I want them to know about me, but nothing that can ever come back to bite me. So, like, a lot of people are like, well, Bobby likes to eat this. No, you don't. You don't know. I don't like to eat that. You don't even know what I like to eat. Because if I'm going to McDonald's, they think I'm going to 7-Eleven. That's how I lived it because I can't trust people. And what I do is, and this is a crazy way to live my life, I'm going to tell Jimmy I'm going to 7-Eleven. I'm going to tell Joey I'm going to McDonald's. And then I'm actually going to go to Burger King, right? So when somebody goes and says, well, he went to Burger King, I know exactly who the person was that talked. And that was what was so funny is when I'm watching American Greed and I see people talking and I'm like, yep, he lied. I know who's lying. And then like when I came back, I was able to say things and prove, well, what this guy was talking about, he was completely full of shit.
Well, first of all, I wish I'd have told you this. I learned this later on after you. Don't ever tell anybody you're going to McDonald's or Burger King or whatever. You tell them you're going to church. See, there's a difference. There's a difference. I'm going to church. I'm going to go sit in church for a little while.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, because people won't be.
Okay. All right. Good. And that way, when he gets out, he goes, "Where did Bobby go?" He said he went to church. Well, okay. Well, that's not going to help us any.
Yeah. Exactly.
That doesn't look good. So.
And
I always tell people call me I hear this a lot. They're following me. What do? It's that simple. Go to your church, park, get out, go sit in the church for an hour.
Exactly.
Even if nobody's there, just go sit in the pew.
And don't talk on your phone.
No, just sit there reverently. And enjoy the peace and quiet. Enjoy just being there in the church, and then come out and get in the car and leave. Go home.
Exactly. Yep.
So what are they going to do? They're going to put in their report. Yeah, we followed him.
He went to church.
He went to church, stayed in there an hour. How long did he stay? An hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Well.
He's a real bad guy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's at church. Yeah.
Of course.
And enjoy your peace and quiet. Enjoy the tranquility, and enjoy. Having a moment of yourself, and worship. And I said, that's the easiest thing.
So I think Diddy probably has to come back with a new bail package, and he has to file a habeas corpus hearing. Is that what you're thinking?
No, that's not the way you're going to go about that. If you're going to ever come back, you're going to have to file a renewed motion for bail.
Yeah.
And ask the court and put in there, and you're going to have to bring something to the table that either shows more innocence than what they've alleged, or you're going to have to show something of a reason why. Yeah. Now, during the COVID era, okay, we saw all these motions for compassionate release. You probably
Correct.
heard about it when you were in prison.
People are filing left, right, and center.
But yeah, and now that everybody files it, they go in drawer F. Okay. By the way, drawer F is where it's just stamped denied and thrown in a drawer. They don't even read it because there's nothing to it. Now, back at the COVID time, if you put in there, it's an old person, he's
diabetic,
medical, and yada yada. They still look at how much time you've been in.
Yeah.
And still would say, he's only served a third. I filed one for somebody. And it was really based on medical records, too.
Correct.
About the susceptibility of the individual. And the person was up in his 70s. And I really felt like he was susceptible to this. And it was spreading like wildfire back then. But the court looked at it, and the only thing they said was, well, he just hadn't served enough time yet, denied.
Of course, yeah.
And so with that, I just was like, oh, goodness gracious, that doesn't mean anything. Why not send them home or something, ankle bracelet or something until we clean this up? Because if you think about it, you have visitors coming into prison, that stuff spreads like wildfire.
It does.
Yeah. And so it can be, it can be rough for somebody. And no sense putting somebody in that harm's way.
In my opinion, I think that, if he does come out, it won't be for a few months.
No, it'll be there for a while.
But I mean, from what I'm seeing from his lawyer, I mean, I don't know his lawyer. I don't know if you know his lawyer, but.
No, I do not. I'm sure they're good. I'm sure they're good. He's not going to hire somebody that's I don't know, because first off, my thoughts are this. That video that he put out there, the apology video, what lawyer would tell you to put that out there, especially after the feds raided your house? You don't say anything. You don't admit to anything. And he goes out there and admits to beating his girlfriend. Look, I don't care. You know what? What did John Gotti once say? John Gotti said, if you stole the church and the steeple's sticking out of your asshole, and the feds question, I don't know what you're talking about, right? Why would you go and record it, and now they're going to use that and say, well, he admitted to this and he admitted to that. But let me tell you something, Bobby, that's unusual about that. You're right. I've had a couple of clients in my lifetime that I would say, look, the press is out here every morning. They're out here every afternoon. Don't talk to them.
Yep.
They're gonna pick it up. They're gonna get the sound bite. They're gonna get whatever you say. You don't do it. And guess what? Every morning I show up, they're out there talking. And every afternoon I leave the courthouse, they're out there talking to the press.
Loose lips sink ships.
That's right. But you can't control certain people. You just can't do it. And you get to where you just go, okay, it's not going to do any. I've lectured, reason, and it's not happening. So
I'll tell you why people do that.
Self-defense.
Well, it's a lot of people think that if they get ahead of it, like if they go out there and they just put their heart out there and look a person or this and that it's going to end. No.
Oh, no.
The moment you're under the radar, that is not ending. You could go out there and grovel on your knees and say, I'm sorry, or I didn't do this or do that. No. Now they're going to take what you said, your apology, and use it against you. When they came after me, the moment I knew eyes were on me and the feds were circling, I stopped talking to everybody. I took down social media. I stopped talking. The only person that would talk would be the lawyer. Because after that, and then there were times where people went online and said stuff, or people went on the news and said stuff, and at most, normally I'd want to say, hey, that's wrong, or I want to rebut. I kept quiet. I kept quiet for 10 years. This is the first time I finally started talking publicly about my stuff.
Yeah, about what happened. Yeah. You're absolutely correct, but some people just don't listen to that.
No.
It's that you're explaining to, I have never once in 46 years had anyone give a statement to the police in which the police went, oh, we're very sorry for arresting you.
Exactly.
Nah.
Nope. They smile and they take that and they're going to use it against you.
And what's interesting is what people don't realize. Okay. Yeah. And this is kind of cute. A little part about our law system. Okay. So the person goes in, I didn't do it. Let me tell you this. I didn't do this. This happened, that happened, but I wasn't involved. I didn't do it. You can't play that that statement in court because it's a self-serving statement and it's objectionable. The only time they play a statement in court that is with the prosecution is when they want to say something bad that you said, or they prove you lied. So you're not going to get in there and give them the old soft shoe. Nah, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, and my advice to anybody that's going through something right now, doesn't matter what it is, keep your mouth shut. Don't talk.
Keep your mouth shut. But, we tell that. And if everybody didn't know that now, I don't get it. Because
most defendants are their own worst enemy.
Their own worst enemy. And they give out stuff that they would never know.
Yep, exactly.
They'd never know about it.
Yeah, or they think they're going to get on your cell phone and talk. I'm like, listen, I wouldn't talk on a cell phone if you're not under indictment or under eyes and say anything. Besides, hey, how's your wife? How's your kids? This talk normal. And these people are under the eye of the FBI or something, and they're talking on their phones. You're like, you got to be an idiot.
No, you do. And, they keep thinking that, I can go get a drop phone from Walmart and that'll save me. Not anymore. Not anymore. Not anymore. Those days, they're getting cleverer and cleverer with technology.
Listen, they don't need to. They can be listening from outside. They can hear exactly what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so, it's just where don't talk about it. And
don't talk about it.
And as you said, loose lips sink ships. And that's been that way since World War II or I. And, and people get on there and they can't help it. And they think that if a law enforcement officer says, "Hey, look, you're under arrest. How about talking to me?" Okay, let me just tell you everything.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's it. Nope, just a first word, lawyer. Last word, lawyer. That's it.
Yeah, because there's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing they can do.
Nope. Well, so actually, now that your wife texts back and we actually know the answer, so you do know. So guess what? Guys, we're going to Barrett-Jackson, Jimmy and I. We're going to Scottsdale for Barrett-Jackson Classic Car Auction, and we're going to have a blast. So right now we're talking about court cases. When we go to Barrett-Jackson, it's going to be all cars.
Cars. We're going to talk about cars.
Fun time.
And good-looking cars.
Oh, my God. Barrett-Jackson is so much fun. So I can't wait. This is your first time going, right?
Oh, yeah. I've never been. I've always wanted to go. And it's not the auction. It's walking around.
There's so much there to do. It's the cars. It's the
talking cars to people, and just seeing what people do with cars. And and it can go anywhere from taking an old Model T and putting the Corvette engine in it and yada yada.
Yeah, like I was telling my wife, she's never been, right? And I'm like, look, babe, it's not just that. You have stands like memorabilia, and you have people of all types. You can talk cars with people. You're going to see famous people there that are car guys. At the end of the day, when it comes to cars, it doesn't matter what your race is, what your, how much money you have or you don't have. People come together for cars. And you'll have a good time. So we look forward to bringing that to you.
It's just a good time. It's I'm not after to buy anything. I just want to go. See. They only show you a few cars on TV. They don't.
But over there, it's going to be a ton of cars. So we're looking forward to.
And you get to walk around and get to look at them and see what people have done and how they've done it, and
for guys like me, that's like Disney World.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. It's better than Disney World. It's not hot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, we're looking forward to bringing that to you. This was a long episode, so we're going to actually chop it into like a couple different pieces and put it on.
I hate that because we talked about a lot of good things. And,
I know, but you know what? I'll maybe try chopping it into two pieces. That's what it's 44 minutes that we're at. So, thank you.
It was interesting. Yeah, Bobby, it's good to see you.
Oh, of course.
Always, and you're looking well.
So are you. You're red, so you got some color, and that's a good thing.
It's still 96 degrees here. It's hot.
Yeah, okay. It's 90. So it's 100 degrees here today, something like that.
100 there, 96 here. We have the humidity.
We don't have humidity. No, of course. That's why I tell people. Vegas is great. It's dry. You don't feel it.
No, I like to have it because I like to see people sweat.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, you see that in court all day long. You don't need humidity.
That's right. I want to see him sweat outside too. You know, I want to see him sweat a little bit.
All right.
See where he goes. All right, Bobby.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Tell everybody I said hello.
I will. All right.
Thank you, buddy. Be in touch.
Be good. Bye-bye.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.